Hello children, a warm welcome to today's English lesson. I know you are eagerly waiting to learn something new today. And before we start the lesson today, let's say a big hello to Miss Suchitra. Hello Miss Suchitra, how are you today?
Hello Miss Augusta, I'm really great today. Hello children, hope you're fine and safe too. So, yes, ready for the lesson?
Let's start the lesson now, shall we?
I don't think we should delay.
Okay. Do you know what today's lesson is?
I wanted to hear that from you.
Come on. Why don't you answer my questions directly without just saying yes or no?
Directly? So, come on. All my answers have an implied meaning and I am just seeking whether you can understand the implied meaning, whether you can infer the implied meaning.
Oh, now I understand. Infer and implied. These two words sound really interesting, isn't it? Right. Now, let's take a look at the lesson, what the main idea of the lesson is.
Look, what a surprise! Today's lesson is going to be based on infers implied information. So, I think we have given a very good start for the lesson.
Of course, children. Let's take a look at this word implied. It sounds a little new, isn't it? Don't worry, we are going to discuss a lot about this particular word today. What is implied? The meaning of this word implied is suggested but not directly expressed. You say something indirectly so that the listener try to understand the hidden meaning of that very utterance. Let's learn more about it. So, in order to make it clear for you, we have brought a few situations. Let's take a look at these situations and observe carefully how this idea of implied meaning is working in those small dialogues.
That's right, Miss Augusta. In day-to-day life, we come across these situations where friends, people talk to us indirectly, ask us questions indirectly, not very direct. So, we must be smart enough to handle the situation and understand the implied meaning, the hidden, the indirect meaning out of it. Right. So, we have given you such situations. Let us go to the screen and see the first dialogue. This is a situation 1. There is a dialogue between Arjun and Rajan. Arjun asks, "Hey, come, let's play." What does Rajan say? "Oh, I have to finish my homework." Now, when you look at this situation, can you understand, can you infer the implied meaning of what Rajan is trying to say? Right. Does Rajan wants to play or does not want to play? Right. What does Rajan mean? First one, he loves to do homework. Next one, he can't go to play because he has to finish his homework. What do you think the implied meaning of Rajan's reply? Yes, obviously he loves to play, but he can't go to play because he has to finish his homework, which is sad.
Right. Let's go to another situation where the same implied idea is there. The second situation. Here you see a teacher and a student. So, this is another mini dialogue between a teacher and a student. Listen very carefully. You can read it. The teacher says, "We need some fresh flowers to decorate the hall." And the student, one of the students says, "Teacher, my father is a florist." The teacher says, "We need some fresh flowers to decorate the hall." And the student getting up and saying, "My father is a florist." What is the implied idea of the student's sentence or the dialogue? When he says, "My father is a florist," what does that mean? Who is a florist? A florist is a person who owns a shop where they sell flowers. So, what do you think the student actually meant? Does he mean to show off that his father owns a flower shop? Or he really wants to tell the teacher that he can bring flowers to decorate the hall because his father owns a flower shop? Think about it. So, what is the implied idea of that very sentence? My father is a florist. When the teacher said, we need some fresh flowers, definitely the student wants to say that he can bring flowers. He is indirectly telling the teacher, don't worry, I can bring flowers because my father is a florist.
All right, children, now let's go to the next situation. In this situation, we have a dialogue as well. This is between Sam and Ron. Sam asks, have you got an extra pencil? What is Ron's answer? He says, here you are. So, in this situation, Ron has already understood what Sam asked for, right? In this situation, we can clearly see that Ron is already giving the pencil, saying, here you are. So, what does Sam mean in his question? He wants to know whether Ron has extra pencils or Sam needs to borrow a pencil. Definitely, Sam needs to borrow a pencil. That's why he asks that question. So, that means Ron has clearly understood the implied meaning of the question asked by Sam. Clear?
All right, children. Now, let's slowly move on to some more work. You are eagerly waiting to do some more work, I know, right? Right. So, this is going to be a very simple activity because we are not going to ask you to do it on your own. We are here to do it with you. We are going to do it together, right? We are going to make you read. Shall we start? Okay. The first one, let's read it together. They were running to catch the bus. They were running to catch the bus. Were they on time is the question. What is the implied meaning of the sentence, they were running to catch the bus? What happens normally? You know that when you go to the bus stop and you wait for a bus, the bus slowly comes, stops and waits until you get on. You don't have to run for the bus, but if somebody is running behind the bus or running to catch the bus, what does that mean? Definitely, they were not on time. So, the implied idea of this particular sentence, they were running to catch the bus, is they were not on time. So, were they on time? No is the answer.
Yes. The moon looks very bright. Read this with me. The moon looks very bright. Children, when do you see the moon in the sky? Obviously, we know that it's night. So, what time is it then? When you look at this statement, when you see this statement in a poem, in a story, even without having to say the word night, you obviously know that it's night. The implied meaning of this statement, the moon looks very bright, it cannot be morning, it's night.
Right. The next one. Let's read. They were kicking the ball. They were kicking the ball. What is kicking? Kicking is pushing something forcefully with your legs. So, if they were kicking the ball, what sport were they playing? Is it cricket or football? You know, obviously, in cricket, you hit the ball, catch the ball, throw the ball, right? But it is when you play football, you kick the ball. So, the sentence, they were kicking the ball, indirectly says that they were playing football. So, the answer is football.
Let's look at this as well. Read it with me. The boy was crying. The boy was crying. So, what do you actually understand by this statement? When do you cry, children? Obviously, when you are sad. And also, Miss Augusta, we also cry when you are happy, right?
Yes, We call them happy tears.
That's right. But mostly children, we cry when we are sad. So, the implied meaning, the hidden meaning in this sentence, the boy was crying to say that he was feeling sad.
All right, children. We hope and believe that we have given you a very clear idea of this particular term, implied. Right? Now you know what it actually means to infer the implied information. Now there awaits a very interesting section for you. Do you like to read poems? So we brought you a funny poem. Let's read it and try to understand the implied meaning of the poem. Focus on the title of the poem. It goes as Daddy's Making Dinner. We'll read through the entire poem and try to understand the implied meaning. Let's start. Please read with me. Daddy's making dinner. Daddy's making dinner. I've seen it all before. French fries black and burning and meatloaf on the floor.
Daddy is making dinner. The sugar bowl just broke. Fido ate the gravy. The house has filled with smoke.
Daddy is making dinner, but I am not one to mourn. Soon he will surrender and go pick up the phone.
Daddy made the dinner. Today's my lucky day. Dinner's in the trash can and pizzas on the way.
Right. We hope you understood the poem. Now we are going to check whether you actually understood the poem. See whether you can answer these questions. Here are the questions. Take a look at the screen. Were they able to enjoy the dinner Daddy made? Read it with me. Were they able to enjoy the dinner Daddy made? If you say yes, you should say the reason. Why do you say so? If you say no, once again, you should say the reason. I can show you the poem once again, children. Read it carefully and see whether you can find the answer for this question. Were they able to enjoy the dinner Daddy made? Why? Daddy made dinner. Today's my lucky day. Dinner's in the trash can and pizzas on the way. Right. Would you like to go to the next set of questions? Let's slowly move on to that.
Yes. The next question is the son happy or upset about the situation? If you think the son is happy about what happened, you must say which line of the poem says that. If you say that the son was upset, then also you have to tell me which line of the poem says that. Shall we go back to the poem, Miss Augusta?
Definitely. Let's show them the poem.
Daddy is making dinner, but I am not one to mourn. Soon he will surrender and go pick up the phone. So, looking at this, try to infer the implied meaning.
And the last two questions. What did they have for dinner? What did they have for dinner? How do you know? If you have an answer for the first question, some food item, how do you know? You must say that also. Right? Let's go back to the poem. I hope this particular stanza would help you to infer the implied idea. Take a look at it. Let's read. Daddy made the dinner. Today's my lucky day. Dinner is in the trash can and pizza is on the way. All right, children. Now we understand how to infer the implied meaning. So this poem helped you to understand the hidden idea of this particular incident, the process of Daddy making dinner. The title gave you the direct idea, but the entire poem was saying something indirect. Right? Now let's take a look at the answers.
Right. So, the first question was, were they able to enjoy the dinner Daddy made? The answer is no. They were unable to. They were not able to. Right? Why? That was because the food was thrown into the trash can, the garbage bin, because it was burnt.
Even though the title of the poem says, Daddy's making dinner, it is a clear idea, a direct idea. You understand the poem is about the process of making dinner by the father, but there were so many hidden ideas. Why did they throw the food into the trash can? Because it was burnt and the meatloaf was on the floor. Right? So, hope you understood these implied meaning. And let's move on to the next one.
Right. The third question is the son happy or upset about the situation? He is not upset about the situation. He was very happy, right? Did you understand that implied meaning there, that he was happy? Which line of the poem says it? But I am not one to mourn. So, when you look at this word mourn, you understand that the boy was not upset. He was happy. He does not want to worry about anything.
Let's take a look at the other two questions as well. What did they have for dinner? The answer is pizza. The very word pizza is there in the poem. And how do you know this? The last line of the poem says that the dinner is in the trash can and pizza is on the way. What does that mean? We read in the poem that Daddy picked the phone. Why do you think he picked the phone? Definitely to order pizza, because he knew that no one can enjoy the dinner he made. It was burnt, so they had to throw it to the dustbin. Therefore, he had no other choice. He had to give a call and order pizza.
Nice explanation, Ms. Augusta. Right. So, what did we learn today, children? We learned to infer the indirect meaning, the hidden meaning, the implied meaning of the things that people tell us. We infer implied information using our own experiences as well and finding clues in the text. This is how we find the hidden meaning. We also involve our personal experiences when we want to understand what others communicate to us.
Okay, children, we have come to the end of today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed it, and I believe that you learned something new today. Infer implied information, especially when you come across these kind of questions in your exam paper. This particular skill you developed today will definitely help you. Usually, when you come across a poem and questions based on the poem, you struggle, right? So, I believe that hereafter you don't have that problem, because you know the secret of inferring implied meaning. Okay, children, it's time now for us to say goodbye.
All right, children, thank you for joining. Until we meet again, goodbye.